We've had the surprise drop of the AMA with Nicholas Julia. I've not watched any of it yet, so we'll be doing a bit of a live reaction and a breakdown with the channel members. And when we get to the end of that, we've got some goodies to open. So let's hear from the men themselves, and let's get stuck into it.
Hi everyone, welcome to the latest AMA with co-founder CEO Nico and myself Dan. For those of you who might have missed it, last week we kind of put a call out for questions to ask Nico about the last season that we've had on Sorare and what we can look forward to next season. And we received well over 1,000 questions. We've unpacked them, we've analyzed them, and we've kind of broken everything into about 10 key themes based on what was most popular. And in the next 30-40 minutes, we'll be digging through it and publishing this online, translated in all the key languages, and we'll wait your excited feedback.
Classic, right?
Okay, great. Well, let's kick.
This is where we want to be getting to right off the bat. Classic. So we can see the chapters. So we've got classic cards, we've got gameplay improvements, we've got rewards and prize pools, rivals farewell, which is quite a big segment, Sorare OGs, interesting, but that's going to be about financial situation, new leagues, legal and regulatory, and new season. So nice little segment.
And so I'm very excited to share that number one, we want to bring more utility, and we have very exciting stuff that we are testing right now that we're gonna improve for the summer launch. The arena is one of them, so you can think about it as like small rooms, big cash prizes, and utility for classic cards. It's not a mirroring of the in-season mods that we have for now, but we believe it's going to be super.
So, is this going to be like pay essence to play classic arena for money? Is that what we're thinking?
Super fun and super rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you attach to that a cap format that everyone knows here, I think that that can make some very, very interesting developments for classic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just thought, so the arena, at the point of this video going out, we'll have tested our first game week.
Yep.
We announced this is a test format. This is kind of how we launch and ship things first.
Yep.
It's our way of working now, which is being very successful. And yeah, but the scope of arena, where it could go, is pretty big. Okay, great. That sounds exciting. We also had some questions connected with classic value, if you like. In season versus classic introduced new market trends. We had some questions asking if we could ensure a certain level.
Feels like that is what they're saying, because they didn't really elaborate.
We've seen a lot of kind of theories on how burning mechanism could work in Sorare. Are we exploring anything for classic cards in football next season?
Thank you for bringing that, because this is something that I wanted to touch, that is very important as well. When you think about value over time, you need to have the proper mechanisms in your economy to make sure that you can reach the predictability points that I was mentioning earlier on. And I think having the sinks mechanism, as we call them in game economy, are important. And so I think burning, in the sense of truly destroying the asset, is not something that is true to our DNA of having premium cards, working with top IP, developing limited edition cards, and all this effort that we are making to go into sports culture, to go into culture in general through the cards. That being said, I think that sealing, which is doing the same effects that burning, but with a smarter approach, I believe, is something that we've been exploring with MLB, and that has lots of potential, and that we will probably expand in the coming months in order, again, to reach this effect that we want on the game economy.
So that's not too surprising, is it? I think the burn mechanism, like the thing with burning, right, is people either, number one, want less cards in circulation on the market to make pricing harder to pull down, I guess, and number two, to maybe give the cards that they're not using as well some sort of utility. And I'm kind of with Nico and the team here, that the actual burning and destruction of cards or assets, as he calls them, Yeah, I've never really been a fan of that, and I'm really glad to hear that they agree it's not really in the Sorare DNA, because I definitely wouldn't have thought it was either. But this vaulting ceiling element seems to have worked well for MLB, the baseball game, although there is very different elements that has with energy and other bits and pieces. So I wonder if there's going to be a complete skin graft of these mechanisms that we're seeing in the other sports directly onto football, or how much kind of tweaking there will be from that. But this classic card section is kind of highlighting that, number one, that they are trying to push the utility of classic cards, which I'm relatively happy with the utility of classic cards at the moment. I am worried about the reduction of classic utility in the in-season competition, but so if that is happening, that's not really been mentioned yet, but it does feel that they've put a lot of energy and effort into upping the game with classic to make classic seem more appealing, so that, like buying a classic card, even if it is cheaper than an in-season, there's a real reason to do it, and maybe those cards don't drop as low, maybe they can actually rebound a bit higher than you would have previously thought, that sort of thing.
To summarize on all your questions around classics, for next season we're exploring multiple facets of utility, so essentially ceiling, arena, and where the arena could go is super ambitious and will offer really engaging, exciting utility for classic cards. And we're also going to develop a core classic competition structure that offers a deeper gameplay, so initially exploring cap modes.
So the classic core competitions are going to be different to the in-season core competitions. Now, this is a video I've actually got on my notepad to make this week, because we were together on the channel the other day doing some member content, and we realised the under 23s for this midweek has 0 rewards in it anywhere. And we were already beginning to speculate, like, what is the future of under 23, etc. So it'll be so when you hear them saying there, where are we, 718? So let's just go back like 10 seconds.
Develop a core classic competition structure that offers a deeper gameplay.
Yeah. So it's not just going to be in-season classic as a mirror image. That might still happen with like Prem and Champ and stuff like that, maybe. But like it says in the next sentence, cap modes, the arena thing, and if the arena is like cash based and it's classic only, or it's classics allowed, that's a really good innovation. The cost of entry to the arena, but I worry it's Essence. It probably is going to be Essence, isn't it? But it's nice that this is actually quite out the box thinking here, where we've actually asked in recent times that they treat super rare and unique as a totally different kind of game mode to rare and limited, and kind of tailor the developments to those spaces in the game to maximize each one of them individually on their own merit and qualities that they have. And it feels like they've taken that approach from what they're saying with classic versus in season. Like, let's just do more classic comps. So Buzz, that's brilliant.
Yeah, well, in our initial announcement and also in kind of follow-up discussions, we haven't really touched on matchmaking and where we could go with that. And that'll kind of come after the test. But as Nico said, we've seen your feedback and we agree, the matchmaking part of Arena is kind of core to the enjoyment of the feature, and everyone loves defeating a friend
and taking stuff from them.
Yes, for sure.
And taking stuff from them. Look at that wee smile. Look at that wee smile. 802. Let's go back.
Everyone loves defeating a friend
and taking stuff from them.
Guys, so if they do this arena thing the way it sounds, where it's money and stuff like that, I'm all up for it. But if it's like submit a card, or submit, if it's maybe like the Essence thing, we had 10 Essence pay in, and you go into a leaderboard of 10, so 100 Essences available, but they only paid out 90, and there's a bit of a rake, and then they had the golden rooms, which probably took the rake amount and boosted the prize pot to 200 for the number 1 spot. So is that taking someone's essence off of them? Is that how we feel about that? Or is there maybe like submit a card to be forfeited on like losing or something like that? I mean, we're talking about matchmaking. I'm thinking in the arena sense, it's like you and 9 people. Be quite interesting how they would do that with friends in a small room. I can't do the French accent, but that sounds really exciting. But what I'm also starting to think is there the potential for some of the stuff they're chatting about here to be head-to-head matchmaking, taking stuff off people, where, you maybe put a card up, somebody else puts a card up, it matchmakes you on, do you know the guy, maybe aye or no. Following on Sorare might become very important, and maybe even matchmaking on the strength of the team, or there's a few different bits and bobs. But this is actually quite quietly exciting. David Taylor's first comment in the live recording we're doing here with the members was basically Sorare to the moon. That's all you need to say. Shortest video in history. So I get where you're coming from a little bit now. If this is the direction of Classic, it'll be really exciting to see where the rest of this podcast goes. Cheeky Nico there, taking stuff off your pals.
We had a few more deeper gameplay questions. The first one, we had a lot of people asking about flexible deadlines. So for those of you who may have seen, we ran them for midweeks around the kind of core Champions League competitions. No, we are not exploring flexible deadlines as a permanent feature for next season. We will only run them for special events, and we're exploring ways in which they could be used for Arena. That's it. Next one we had.
That's good to know. I think all of us have enjoyed flexible deadlines when it's appropriate, and I think like Champions League, when all the games kick off at like this, give or take, some play on Tuesday, some play on Wednesday, whatever. But yeah, I'm really glad they've said that. That's brilliant.
Had some questions on SO7 and SO11. Essentially, are we exploring going further than our 5-a-side lineup setup to 7-a-side, 11-a-side? I don't know if there's something you'd like to add on that.
Look, I think that this is something that is not going to be core of the launch of the next season. The door is never closed. I think it can be tested as a special events and so on. But yeah, again, not core to the launch of the next season.
Yeah, and
SO7 and 11 not core to next season, but is being explored, coming to a special event near you.
Yeah, no, I will add on top of this, and teasing some of the stuff that I will share later on, that we will rely more and reward more the community members that are building stuff around us, being side games, side applications, and so on. And I can also imagine, like some games that are built around 11, maybe not directly in our platform. So this is a possibility as well.
Cool.
So they're actively rewarding third parties now, whereas before we've had some third parties on Sorare, like Sorare Brag, Sorare Mega, and Sorare Data had a SO11 type tournament, and Sorare just gave them rewards to do it, I think, as a facilitator kind of thing. Whereas now it seems like they've got, from what they've said there, an actual like plan strategy to incentivize people to build the third party games and reward any of the game players alongside that accordingly. So that's quite interesting, because Sorare Mega was meant to come back. They kind of announced they're coming back, and I don't know if they have. Sorare Data, of course, we've all got no idea what the fuck's happening with that. And Brag is long gone. And we had the great thing from Ubisoft. What was it? One Shot League. And that was a great game mode. Like, I really enjoyed that for what it was. Quite a limited thing where you can only do it in certain kind of setups because of the nature of that game. But it'll be interesting to see. Maybe some of these third-party things could be like an FPL game, for example, or like their Italian equivalents. I know Italy's mad on fantasy football, as is Germany and Spain and France with their own kind of local games. But maybe some of these third-party applications are actually marketing tools, where it's like maybe there's a Sorare SO11 free-to-play side game on the FPL website and on the Bundesliga website and stuff like that. So that's actually got a lot of potential depending on what they're meaning and what they're available to for that. Interesting.
So I think that the main focus for the team has been to bring more functionality in the Campus team by bringing more kind of analytics, and so we've partnered with Sorare Inside to give predictions within the Campus team, and I think that's a move in that direction, like trying to prevent ENPs, and I think there are other things that we are exploring, like bench, for instance, that it's in, I would say, in the consideration phase. And
love that, the consideration phase. So it's still like, could be anything. It could be the collection idea, which I love. Could be you allocate a player for it, which means you need to buy more cards, which they'll love. So Yeah, I think like a minor solution, which isn't like just going to outright benefit the whale accounts and anyone that's not whaled up dies, is what we're kind of looking for. The flexible deadline thing, it's very time intensive, which again no one really wants, so it's nice to hear they're exploring that, because I think that could be a good way to go.
I let you expand on this, maybe.
Yeah, it's in the consideration phase, and what we're considering is essentially something where it's a strategic and gameplay decision. So if you do decide to swap a player in, you're sacrificing essentially something in return. It's not just a win-win situation.
Ooh.
It's like a decision like all managers have to make.
Ooh. What could you be sacrificing, I wonder? XP? Maybe a point handicap? Maybe the team gets no XP? Maybe you lose your captain's armband? Interesting. Sacrifice. I love hearing from Dan and Nico. I don't think they really miss. I think sometimes there's a wee bit of... Sometimes the stuff we're after, it's not been on their radar, and they've been dealing with other stuff that was on our radar like 6 months ago. So normally when we get these AMAs, sometimes they're kind of like behind the 8 ball. They're behind the game, as it were. Whereas this is very on the ball because of the function of the AMA. And you can tell that they've been putting a lot of brain power into... These problems are not new. And that's where I think a lot of the frustrations came from people, was that some of these issues have been known or expressed for a significant period of time, with no headway seemed to have been gained. Whereas we're 12 minutes into this, and I just hear headway and progress has been made everywhere.
To summarize what everyone was asked, it was essentially, what have we learned this season? And that's kind of in-season, our first season with in-season and classic structure. What have we learned in terms of our rewards experience and how we've designed them, and what are we going to take into next season?
So yeah, I think there are 3 big elements. Number 1, our community loves the beat the game elements. They love something as simple as do this, get that. And that's the reason why thresholds are back.
He said it. He said it. He said it. I don't believe my ears. I don't believe my ears.
And that's the reason why thresholds are back. And they're going to be back in a meaningful way, in a way that is rewarding, exciting for the community, and in a way that is also like sustainable, because I know that even
it's going to. I'm calling it now. The threshold is going to be what we've seen in Best of Europe. Maybe not market credits. We hope it's money, right? I hope it is money. Could be market credits, but I think it's going to be threshold pot is 20k this weekend. This is the tournament. This is the criteria. Maybe the tournament criteria stays consistent. Maybe the threshold pot stays consistent. But I think it's going to be that kind of... When you say sustainability, the thing with thresholds previous is that, yeah, there was single entry, but people tried to multi-account to game it. But even at that, if it's just threshold available, there's no limit on the amount of people that could open an account and play for it, and that's part of that was their problem. So that's good. I think, my first thoughts are we're going to get like a Best of Europe equivalent of, there's a 20,000 jackpot. Everyone that gets over 400 points gets their cut. Some weeks, 10 people will hit it. Some weeks, 10,000 people will hit it. And then you're kind of, we got £4 this week, or I got 150 quid, or, whatever it might be.
To add on to granularity as well, it kind of crosses over a little bit with Essence. We're also exploring ways that give you more control on how you craft your essence. So when crafting, you will have certain decisions to make.
Yes! That's got to be use your contender essence, or do this or do that. And different decisions, that might be a thing of like, when they're talking about getting into those arenas or the socials element, I think they might be asking us to spend essence on some of that stuff. So I think we're going to get that thing that we want, where I want to pull a tier 5 champ. I want to pull a tier 5 contender. I don't want to pull a tier 5 random and all my essences like a big cocktail. You don't really know what you're going to get from it. By the way, in terms of classic core comps, what are the odds that we get Rivals Tactics back in Classic? I'm going to say high. I'm going to say odds on.
And also, everyone loves tactics. We're also exploring ways in which we can bring tactics to these daily missions. So yeah, there's still a lot to happen.
This is a wee tell. There's a tell in here.
That's, we want all the managers that are free to play, the managers that are pro users, the managers that perform well in a single day.
In a single day. So if you can get a good day, they're thinking about that. A good week. And also, Nico, before that wee cheeky face.
On a single week, on a single month.
Yeah! Give us the monthlies. But again, I know from speaking to Sorare, the monthly stuff did not work well last time. Like, they just didn't do well from it. They didn't think it rewarded people. They didn't think it was kind of fit for the purpose they wanted it for. So if he's got that wee cheeky smile and we're going to be getting it back, it could be pretty sweet.
We had other questions then as well in terms of like, how often do we actually think about our loyal OG users who've been there for a while and what we can do for them? We'll share more about this later on. And
Ooh.
I hope the product team won't kill me for saying this. Maybe I'm not allowed to say it. But we're also exploring ways in which we can touch on making Sorare more rewarding, introducing kind of loyalty programs for our most engaged managers. One of the things we're exploring or scoping is...
What could a loyalty card for Sorare look like? I'm thinking about the sort of loyalty card you get at the coffee shop and all that kind of thing, you know? Like buy 9, get the 10th one free kind of... Or... I wonder how they would do that. And what they would give us.
Is when you come back at the start of the new season, you're welcomed with a reward box that's kind of reflective of your previous accomplishments.
Cool.
Okay, well, you touched on it briefly. Any updates on licensing?
Saudi.
In terms of more new partners, new leagues?
Of course, we have a few prospects that we are discussing with that hopefully we will announce in the coming weeks or months for the season launch. Job is never done until all the top leagues are fully included.
Saudi, Serie A, Ligue 1. There is nothing else it could be at this point. Don't even say A-League to me. I'm really sorry. I would love the A-League, but that's not what they're talking about.
My second point is very specifically about the summer launch. I'm very excited because we have stuff for the community that has been here for a long time that are as rewarding as they have ever been.
Oh!
And I think that...
Oh! Say that again, Nico. Say that again.
About the summer launch. I'm very excited because we have stuff for the community that has been here for a long time that are as rewarding as they have ever been, and I think that there's lots of confidence. I think that comes because of this, because that has been my and the team big focus, and there's also for new users, something in the simplicity of the onboarding first time user experience that we've never had, and that's going to be live for the summer launch. So that's very, very encouraging. I was looking at the decks for the first fundraising back in 19 and the subsequent one, and it's crazy to see how we stuck to the exact same ideas and vision, like to enable everyone to become a manager and be rewarded for that on a game where you truly own your items and can keep them across the season. So we stuck with that. It's just that, of course, you need time to deploy the vision in part.
And again, that's one thing I always say to anyone, members or the comment section or whatever, that worry about classic utility. Like, that is the Sorare thing of, like, I can play this guy for his career. That is, like, the thing that got them going. You know, it's one of their USPs. So it's great to hear it brought back to the fore again, as it were. Loved that, guys. Loved that. So big takeaways. Classic has been given a lot of love. They've gave it a lot of headspace, and it sounds like almost like I didn't hear not one thing about developing in season, about changing in season. We are worried or nervous or whatever about the removal of classic cards from in season. don't think there was overly anything in that to quell that necessarily, but there was a bucket of stuff talking about the expansion of the Classic core gameplay, you know, having different core comps in Classic than we do, pardon me, in in-season, as well as having arenas where there will be cash paid out and you'll be taking stuff from your friends. What else was kind of, we're going to get some sort of like airdrop, community drop kind of thing for the OGs, and it will reward you for kind of how long you've been here and what you've been up to. Come the beginning of the next season, you should open your account and get a nice little box or something like that with something cool in it, which is great. There's actually a lot to get into in that one. I'm not too sure if there's a main takeaway on top of what I've said there that we missed out on. But I had a lot of fun listening to that. I think the guys did a great job of structuring it, hitting the nail on the head with the questions around everything, even the regulators, the finances of the company, all that kind of stuff. But for a lot of us in the trenches playing the game, the main thing we're interested in is our cards are worth having, you know, the game is worth playing, and it's fun and still engaging. And it sounds like a lot of the, and again, it's great to hear them say a lot of this stuff, because so many times when I'm doing content here on the channel and we're doing members content, or we're just doing like open AMA kind of stuff ourselves or whatever, there is so many questions about the future of Sorare and card prices and everything else as well. And like they mentioned there, like, it's just not linear. You know, I was having a conversation, this isn't related to anything we've heard there today, right? But I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and I was saying to them, a lot of the primary worry is like, you know, will they remove Classic from in-season next year, so it's 5 in-seasons you need. I think they'll do it more MLS style where it's like an option, but that's only the fear if Sorare grows 0, right? If you imagine Sorare grew 5x, like imagine it went 5 times as bigger in terms of how many people played the game by the time the next season starts, they can't make more in-season cards. You know, they're going to do 100 rares, 100 limiteds. They've got the clubs, they've got the squads. They can't just invent more cards or players, right? So if the game like went supernova, or it might not even need to go supernova, maybe even if it doubled, there's a strong case to say that the in-season requirement would be lessened very quickly, because it's the same amount of in-season cards that would have to be spread across more people to get in on the game, as it were. And if you walk that train of thought further and further down the road, it's not long before the surplus of in-season cash goes into Classic, you know. So I think a lot of the worries and fears are based on stagnation, and Sorare really taking their eye off the ball, dropping the ball, taking their hands off the wheel, whatever. And I've never got a sense from that whenever I talk to them. I think most of these communications have been fine over the years, but sometimes have left something to be desired. But in that today, I don't think there was anything left to be desired. If anything, how many times did we see Nico's wee cheeky face? You know, like, he gave us away some really good stuff there, which I'm looking forward to getting stuck into in more detail. They did mention the bench and substitutions, that kind of thing as well, with a penalty for doing so. And there was actually a bunch of good stuff in that one. I did tell you guys that we're here for the beginning of the live recording. If you're watching the video, you'd have seen this at the beginning anyway, but there's a bunch of these with the members. I've had a package from Sorare. I've not received a package from them in a long time, it must be said. It doesn't feel like there's much in it. Now, I was really hoping I was going to get a bunch of hoodies to give away to you guys in some sort of giveaway or whatever. I've got no idea what's in here, but I can tell you it's not a bunch of hoodies. Not a bunch of much. Let's see, a wee bit of a live reaction, a wee bit of an opening here. Ooh. Right, I've not looked, I've not spoiled it, right? But some stuff that's folded up. We've got a card. You can pause it and read it if you like. There you go. That's lovely. And then what do we have? Oh, we have one shirt. Oh! Look what we've got here. Now, guys, I'm going to give this away to one of you. I don't want a... Oh, we're going to give this away for sure. This is a thing of beauty, guys. Check that out, by the way. Check that out. It's my favourite one as well. If I was to get one of them, this is the one I would have wanted. I would love to keep it, but I'm definitely going to give it away. I'm definitely going to give it away. And Doge Sports gave me one of the most generous gifts I've ever received from anyone. Never mind a Sorare manager, but he got me a Japan top. And you can see there's a number on it. Look what he got on the back of it for us. Isn't that brilliant? Now, I know it's an outfielder top, but who gives a fuck? Love that, by the way. Absolutely love that. So I've just received this as a gift. So I would feel like extra shitty to keep that shirt. We'll definitely give that away. So stay tuned. We'll have some sort of big end of season event. Maybe even my anniversary for Sorare is 20th of June. So we might even do, yeah, that sounds good. Like a 20th of June Sorare FC Barcelona birthday type thing. That's what we'll do. So yeah, I was very grateful to receive that gift, and that was just at the weekend, so I'd feel terrible, even more so if I kept that for myself. So we'll definitely be giving that away, which is all good crack. Thanks to all you that have tuned in for the live recording. If you're watching this after it's been recorded again, thank you very much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, retweet, and all that good stuff.